Today we continue our reflection on chapter ST, on ST 48.1, Karma and the Afterlife. Today I'll be explaining section 8.1, which is quite long. Section 8.1 is special because it talks about the Tirokuta Sutta. The subheading here says helping the dead move on. And in Buddhism we often have to be quite open-minded about words. For example, the word dead, it sounds very static. The reality is there is no dead as far as Buddhism, early Buddhism is concerned. A person dies, yes, it maybe it's a moment in the sense that the processes that define life stops, ends, and this consciousness moves on. So in that sense, there is no death. Someone dies, the person, the being moves on. The consciousness moves on and assumes a new life, depending on the person's karma. And so far we have examined quite a wide range of subjects. And one of the important ideas we should understand is that when it comes to what is popularly known as praying, or what is known in Buddhism as dedicating of merits, now I don't recommend the use of transference of merits, which is very wrong, which gives us a totally wrong idea of how we treat the pretas. So we dedicate merits to them, and only the pretas apparently need of merits. They can be helped in a sense, but not the other beings, because the other beings are already reborn in another realm, another kind of state, if you like. So how do we help these pretas? There are two important suttas in this connection, at least two suttas. The first is called the Saddha Janusuni Sutta. Saddha means the Shraddha ritual, the ancestor ritual of ancient India. So here is the Buddhist aspect. This is from A 10.177. And the second sutta, which we'll talk about, is the Tirokuta Sutta. And this sutta appears in the Sutta Nipata as well as the Kudakapata. So here in the Petavatu rather. So Kudakapata is number 7 and Petavatu is 1.5. So this is a very important sutta that talks about the practical aspects, if you like, the spiritual, psychological and practical aspects of treating the pretas, those who have moved on. The word pretas we can simply translate here as the departed, if you like. It doesn't matter how they look like. It depends on the period we are dealing with. In the very early period, it simply means departed. In the later period, they appear in a lot of strange suffering forms. Just for the sake of a general understanding before we start, the key idea to stress once again when we deal with the dead, with the departed, is loving kindness. So we can see this very important idea, important theme underlying the whole sutta, Tirokuta Sutta. The word Tiro means across, Kuta means the wall, on the other side of the wall, or across the wall. This title means that the pretas, they tend to lurk nearby around the wall. And not only that, they lurk in places they are familiar with, or places where they can get lost in trying to reach familiar places. So it's almost like a dreamlike state they are in. They are of limited powers. They do have special powers, some of them, but they do not have power of speech, for example, and they are unable to communicate otherwise. There's a story where they make strange sounds, not to frighten people, but to seek help. So the background story behind the Tirupura Sutta is that the Buddha gave this teaching to King Bimbisara, who had some strange experiences about his past ancestors, if you like, the Pretas. So please read up SDs 2.7 in the introduction for the story. Today I only talk about the sutta and explain its significance. Now the sutta starts off verse 1 with these words: outside the walls they stand and wait, if you like, you can add the word wait, at junctions and crossroads. They stand at the doorposts, having returned to their own homes. Right, so here we have some idea of the nature of the pretas. They are still attached to their old familiar places. So why do they stand against the walls? I suppose that's the place where most of us wouldn't sit. We would walk around in the open spaces, so they kind of stand aside. But of course, they are such a being, they are of a different form. Although they are in the sense world, but they are not in physical like us. So, in the manner of speaking, we would pass through them, so to speak. So they stand. The word stand in Pali also means wait. So at junctions, and why junctions? Crossroads, why crossroads? Because they sometimes pass away in some distant places. Maybe they would like to come back to their homes and familiar places. Then they stand at doorposts, they stand at the door waiting, and the fourth line says they return to their own homes. So this is, in other words, they are moving back. They're looking for some familiar environment, some kind of situation in the previous life they could immediately remember, and there's still some attachment to the previous existence, so to speak. As we know psychologically, the pretas are often characterized as people who are very attached to certain practices, certain habits, even addicts. The word addict will describe them very well. So they're attached to things, to situations, to people, to places even. Verse 2 explains why they suffer. The verse says, food and drinks are aplenty, food hard and soft are served, but no one recalls them, these beings conditioned by karma. There are some important teachings here. Various traditions would offer, in various cultures you find prayers, offerings to the dead. Among the Chinese, for example, you have this very grand festival. So there is plenty of food, plenty of drinks. And even food and drinks are served, all kinds of food are served, but no one recalls them. So in the excitement, we forget for whom are we doing all this. So it's very important that we remember our departed ones. The two questions arise. One is, how do we remember them? And who are the ones we should remember? So these are our answer to these two questions in a while. In fact, the rest of this sutta talks about how to remember them. And also you find there are certain passages which talk about who are those people we should remember. These beings conditioned by karma. So the pretas are conditioned by their own karma. They are not being punished for it. It's the habit they've been cultivating during their previous life or lives. And these habits kind of, it's the momentum that push them on into it. Their human body dies or doesn't support them anymore, and then the mind that is a preta mind continues to exist and assumes a kind of a body that reflects that kind of mind. So again here, in order to help these beings, we must remember them. And how do we remember them? We must remember them with loving kindness. We'll come to this again. There is an important verse, which is the next one, which describes this in some. It gives us the essence of this attitude that we should cultivate. How to dedicate merits. 8.1.3. Thus they gave to their relatives, they who are compassionate, pure, exquisite, timely, fitting drinks and food, saying, let this be for relatives. May relatives be happy. Okay, these last two lines are very famous. These are the two lines that are often used during the dedication of marriage. Even sometimes after, say, a Sunday puja or a Buddhist gathering, the Pali words are idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Or we can say idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Now here in the singular tradition, normally wo is used, meaning your. The monks would use the word your. For yourself, you use me, my, or ours even. So the words of dedication are idame nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Let this be for relatives. May relatives be happy. The two things here. One is relatives, and that is people connected to us, and the other is happy, loving kindness. There you go. Again, a reminder. Remember these people. This person has been a father to me, a mother to me, brother, sister, son, daughter. Okay. So here, of course, the word is relatives, but more broadly, we can dedicate marriage to anyone. Because there are other teachings. In the Anguttara, for example, we say that in these many cycles of lives that have been through, we have been related to each other, all of us, in many different ways. We have been fathers to each other, mothers to others, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, children, sons, daughters, and so on. So in that sense, by the very fact that we are in some way connected, meeting together for sutta study, meeting together in a Buddhist place, or meeting together at all, there must be some past connection. So in other words, the dedication of marriage can be done to anyone, even to a friend in that sense. The term relatives cover all these people too. And the next point is, the second point is, of course, this must be done with loving kindness. But metta, as we know, is a kind of abstract, very wholesome abstract noun reflecting what is the true essence of friendship. Mitta. Mitta means friend. Metta, loving kindness. It's how friends, true friends, should treat each other. Now then the next thing we should understand is what can we offer to these beings. We can't offer them directly. You will not be able to partake of those offerings. Here we have a very interesting story called the Brahmadeva Sutta. I think it's in the Sanyutta, if I'm not mistaken, where Brahma himself comes down to this very devout laywoman this woman who worships Brahma. Brahma tells her, please don't make all these offerings, all these expensive offerings, because the Brahma doesn't take worldly food. It's too gross for him. So he says, why don't you offer this human food to your own son who's an arahant and earn great merits from there? So here's the story which shows that the gods do not need our offerings. The gods do not have emotional difficulties that they need our worship and our adoration. And of course, and then there is another very beautiful real life story which I myself experienced. I had this cat. When you love your cats really dearly, you'll see them become almost human. So there was this cat I had once when I was still a monk. This cat one day came up to me and put a dead rat right at my toes in front of me where I was standing. And he did not eat it at all. Then I realized it was actually giving that rat, the dead rat, to me. Then I realized it's making an offering, so to speak. So, reflecting on this story, of course, the cat doesn't understand, but I did try to explain to her and says, well, I don't take this food. I don't take this kind of food. So here we see this cat showing her gratitude, her love, by offering food to a human being. But we are not capable of taking such a food. So the pretas too are like that. They cannot consume the kind of food that we take because they offer a different form. And even if we offer any kind of very exquisite food, they still cannot take it because of their nature. So they can only consume if you like some kind of psychological food, if you like emotional food, karmic food. We can use different kinds of words to describe how the kind of nourishment they need, a kind of mental nourishment. So the next verse says, this 8.1.4, how the pretas are alleviated. And they, having gathered there, the departed relatives gathered too. In the abundant food and drink, they wholeheartedly rejoice. Long may our relatives live, on whose account we gain these. For honor to us has been done, and givers are not fruitless. Alright, here we hear different voices. These three voices, got the narrator's voice, then the preta's own voice, and then the Buddha's voice. Alright, so these pretas, they gather together. Notice here it's plural there, so it's not just, let's say, our deceased father. It could be both our deceased parents and uncles and aunts and all our other relatives who have passed away. As long as they are in that state, they would gather in a familiar place. And when we make such offerings in the proper way, then they rejoice. And this is the key process, how they are freed from their preta, from their suffering state. They wholeheartedly rejoice. It's just like, they are in this embodied state and they're watching us doing all this offering, and we are doing our loving kindness and dedicating this merits to them. We're wishing them well and happy. Our relatives and friends, and acquaintances, even people we do not know, but we send loving kindness to them. And they're so happy. They say, may our relatives live long. May you all live long. On whose account we gain these. And for honor has been done. So in other words, they feel good that you remember them, you show them this respect, this acceptance. Givers are not fruitless. This is the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha's famous line. Whatever we give is never lost. There is this wonderful karma we have created. Because when we give, we have this kind of wholesome state, in wholesome giving. So here we have interesting understanding of the mind or the psychology of the preta. A preta here is someone who's unable to feel happy for himself. Someone, you might say, emotionally deprived even, emotionally dependent even. So they are in a sense perpetually sad and troubled and depressed, and all this need of some kind of comfort. So when we remember them in this way, they feel good, they feel happy. It's just like on our birthday, we're so tired after work and we're all lonely, and we're just wondering when anybody remembers the day at all. And then we go home and there's a surprise party, surprise, your birthday, and you're so happy because people did remember your birthday. So and you see your spirit uplifted, joy welling up, you feel so happy. The process is similar to that, where the Pretas are concerned, when this dedication of knowledge are done to them. So these Pretas, they're kind of, they're like wandering spirits, if you like. They have no particular world. Although we use the word Preta realm, Piti Visaya, here realm refers to a state rather than a location, so they can be anywhere, in other words. So then the Sutta continues educating us a few more things. 8.1.5 it says the other Preta offerings are useless, they're not helpful. There is no farming there, nor cattle herding found. Businesses too, there are none. No buying and selling with money. With what is given here are supported the departed over there. Right, so it's a different kind of world. These Pretas, they're caught up in this very sad situation. So there's no way that they can work for their life. They're not like us. So they're kind of they're like a dreamlike state, if you like an in-between state, as it were. So it's no point burning anything for them. Again, here we have this Chinese superstition of burning houses, and the richer ones even buy these mock computers and expensive Rolex watches made of paper, and so on and so on, even burn paper money. None of these are useful. It only pollutes the atmosphere. It's not good for humans too. So these are practices which should not be practiced, because there is no buying and selling, there's no use of money in these realms. I mean, if you really want to burn money, try burning real money instead of just false money with a dozen zeros in it. So this is where it is kind of almost a puerile superstition which we should stop practicing. Moreover, the departed has passed on, and they are of a different realm, not the human realm. So we are not burning Buddhists. We should not be burning Buddhists. We should not practice the burning of hell money, because it's very clear in this Tirukuda Sutta, verse 6, C and D, and verse 7, which tells us the nature of the Pretas. 8.1.6, how merit works. The Sutta, I'll be reading verses 8 and 9 of the Tirukuda Sutta. Just as water falling on highlands reaches down to the lowlands, even so what is given here accrues to the departed. Just as the swollen rivers feel the ocean full, even so what is given here accrues to the departed ones. What is given here, dedicated to the deceased, dedicated to the departed, dedicated to the Pretas, with loving kindness. Loving kindness is the vehicle that transmit this beautiful, happy energy to the departed. So what is sent to them, what they experience, is this joy. Is that someone wishing you happy birthday, someone smiling at you, someone being kind to you. This energy wells up in you. So this is what wells up in them. So in this sense, this merit accrues onto both sides, the giver as well as the recipient, like as natural as rain in the mountains coming down because of its elevation, flowing down to the lower levels into the lakes and oceans. And the imagery of a swollen river, meaning its merit is enormous, it's boundless, and it fills the ocean full. This is the kind of joy and goodness that we experience in such moments on both sides, the humans, the living, and the Pretas. So this is because the goodness we show now, our generosity and our loving kindness, benefit the Pretas and also the living. Next verse, verse 10 of the Tirukkuta Sutta, which is in section 8.1.7, loving kindness for the Pretas. This is the first two lines, our own reflection when we dedicate marriage to the Pretas. We reflect, he gave to me, he worked for me, a relative, friend, and companion to me. So this is generally our attitude. Notice here, the words are all there. He gave to me, he worked for me. So this is how we remember the goodness of the departed. A relative, friend, and companion to me. So it's not just relative, it's also friend, companion to me. Give offerings then to the departed, recalling what they have done before, recalling their goodness in the past, our friendship, our love, and the good things that this person or this being has done. So that's loving kindness, in fact, a practice of metta bhavana. 8.1.8, the theme here is sorrowing doesn't really help. Neither tears nor sorrow, nor any mourning whatever, they help not the departed. The departed relatives remain the same. Right, so here in other words, all the crying and weeping, they don't help the departed. Any kind of belief that helps them, it's just superstition. Yeah, of course, it's not mentioned here that it does help the living though, but that's another point. If you feel sad, it's okay to cry. But don't make a show of it, don't ritualize it, then you'll be mocking the dead. Then you are not really respecting the dead. The dead should be remembered with love, with loving kindness, and good deeds done in their name. Dedicate to them those good deeds. So it's not with tears and sorrow. I mean, it's just basically we can imagine the departed have moved on. When we die, we move on. It won't. You have a choice. I mean, you can see your beloved relatives and friends still alive, just crying for you, or they are remembering you with joy, with the good things you have done, and they are wishing you goodbye on your journey. That would be much better, isn't it? Verse. There is a very beautiful jataka called Uraga Jataka, and also called the Uraga Pitavatu, which talks a lot about this, of not kind of overacting in terms of sorrow and crying. We'll be talking about this in the next talk. Now, 8.1.9, efficacious giving. And this is the last two verses of the Tirukkuta Sutta. But when an offering is made, well placed, to the Sangha given, will be for their good for a long time. It serves them as well. This duty to relatives has been shown on how to best honor the departed. Strength too has been given to the monks and nuns, of course. Not small is the merit accrued to you. Right, so here we have the idea that to give to people who deserve to receive, and of course this is clearly a teaching that the monks are saying the monks themselves need support, but especially if they're worthy monks, you offer to them, there's this wonderful atmosphere there, they're good teachers and practitioners, so you have this wonderful atmosphere, and they're the ones who remind us how to do this properly. When you do not have such monks, or if you choose to, you can also gather together with friends, lay people, even lay Dhamma workers, and you have the same effect. So, in other words, here it is the giving, it's the joy in giving, it's the joy preparing the gifts, the joy the moment of giving, the joy the end after the giving, that benefits the departed. of course, if we have really good monks or practitioners who are good teachers, who are models of moral virtue, the atmosphere is definitely much better. So here, once again, we have to remember to dedicate merits to the departed must be done with loving kindness. The departed includes not just relatives but also friends or people we know. Any beings that are nearby, within our reach, mentally and spiritually. And we get it together with loving kindness, with a wholesome mind. We share, we give proper offerings to those who deserve such offerings, especially the virtuous monks and nuns. And then we dedicate the merits properly to the departed. So this is what the Thirakuta Sutta is about. So in the next talk, next study, we will talk more about loving kindness and then conclude our reflection on this topic. Let's close now with a short reflection. Today is the 28th of December 2016. This is the last Wednesday of this year and also our last study for this year. On this special day, let us remember all our departed ones who have assembled here, or wherever they may be within our spiritual and mental reach, to dedicate the merits of this Dharma teaching, that they may be well and happy wherever they are. We recall them with loving kindness. And we rejoice in the various good deeds they have done in the past, and dedicate all these merits to them. Reflecting in these ways wonderful good karma, by the power of such good karma too, may we be empowered with joy and wisdom to aspire to attain spiritual awakening, especially stream winning, and this in this life itself. By the same token, by all the goodness we have done, may all our loved ones, our friends, our relatives, and those who have been kind to us be well and happy. And also those who are practicing the Dharma, who are seeking the Dharma, may they find the true teaching in this life itself. And also by the same token, may those who have difficulty finding the truth, who have lost their way to come to the true teaching in this life itself. And may you all be well and happy too. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.